I was ready to blow me down.
Hey guys, welcome back to yet again another Bristol FM video on the channel here today, and this is going to be the first upload of the week, and this will be a consistent thing. This will be my championship fixture review. Obviously my preview, which has gone down very well, and I really want to thank you guys for that, has got all my kind of predictions for the upcoming match day, but today in this kind of episode of the series, if you like, is my review. So I'll be going over all them, talking a little bit about the game, and basically just briefly summing everything up. So, on the screen now, just popping up around me, should be any right or correct results from the match day, from the comments. Obviously, if you do indeed want to be featuring on here for your right predictions, then on the preview video, make sure to drop down in the comments below all your predictions for the upcoming match day. But without further ado, let's get straight into the review. Okay, so for this first game, I've got Bristol City and their very impressive 3-1 victory over Barnsley. Now, just for a start, this went completely different to how I predicted it. And to be fair, I do feel bad because I did slate Bristol City. However, I did say if they play to how they could play it, I don't even know how to say it, but their new striker, Diediu, or however you say it, can perform, then who knows what can happen. I'm not going to try and rescue this because I did go in pretty hard on Bristol City, and I will say now, put my hands up and say they did look very, very good yesterday. I mean, both teams hit the woodwork quite, early on before I think any goals were scored, and then Bobby Reid, who did indeed have a very, very good game, popped up with the first goal. Obviously, ball come over the big target man Diediu, who really did prove how important he can be this season for Bristol in this kind of game. He did go in for a challenge on the keeper, ball bounced back, Reid scored the first goal. Obviously I'm not going to go for each goal individually, but overall I'm very, very impressed with Bristol's performance as a whole. I think Barnsley were a bit unlucky. If they would have got a first goal, who knows what would have happened, but I just don't think they were up to scratch. They conceded 3 goals in pretty quick succession, and they just crumbled, and you don't want to see that. Obviously it's the first game of the season, stuff just happens, and I'm sure they'll bounce back, but I was very surprised at how this game actually did plan out. But well played to Bristol City. They defied my prediction. I went for 2-1, but the actual score was 3-1 Bristol City. Now for this next game, I've got Leeds away trip to Bolton and their 3-2 win. Now this is a very interesting game. I know this was on a Sunday, but I'm going to do it in no particular order because it's just going to be really whatever game I've just decided to talk about. But anyway, onto the game. Bolton, to be fair, they did show a good account of themselves. I mean, obviously they did lose 3-2, and 3 goals at home is never a good sign, but then Leeds didn't look too great defensively. They definitely were missing that Bartley and Jansen partnership. Obviously Bartley doesn't play for him anymore, but Jansen was injured, and I do think that did show. So I do think those kind of errors should be cut out with Jansen and potentially another centre half next to him. But 3-1 up at half time. Calvin Phillips, who, just saying to the people that cited him in the comments, I said he was definitely an upcoming underrated talent. And I know 2 goals doesn't make you a hero overnight, but he did have a very good performance. Obviously the pen brought him back into the game, and to be fair, it was a really, really good game to watch. Obviously it was the last game of the weekend and on Sky. And I do think that Bolton could have just easily fell over at 3-1 and lost that game 4-1, or in fact 3-1 quite easily, but they did try very hard to get back into the game. But I do think Leeds kind of deserved it on the whole at the end of the game, and that is why I did predict this to happen to Leeds. I just didn't get the right scoreline. I believe I did go for a 2-0 Leeds win, and indeed it was a 3-2 Leeds win. Next up, I've got Brentford and their away trip to Sheffield United. Now this was a very, very good game, and I was quite happy with the score in the end, because in a way I did get my prediction right. Obviously not the exact score. I did predict it 1-1, but I did, however, say in that if any team were going to win, it would be Sheffield United because of the high, and I said players like Billy Sharp were going to be so important, and you saw that in the game. Billy Sharp popping up with the header. To be fair, Sheffield United didn't really deserve the game. I know it's quite bold to say, but on the stats basis of things, Brentford were really unlucky. They didn't convert. They should have, and I know they should have, but at the end of the day, in the Championship, it's all about points. All about, even if you don't play well, you can rectify that, similar to the Millwall Forest game I'll get onto later. But Billy Sharp got the goal. He's a natural goal scorer in this league, and I said he would perform, and I'm very, very happy for Sheffield United, because coming up to this league, you don't want to be put down, you don't want to be absolutely thumped. You want that first game, that first win under your belt. They've got that now. Now they can rectify from their mistakes, push on, and I can really see them, this could maybe start a 5-game run, or however, but put it this way, basically, if they keep maintaining this and their confidence keeps increasing, then they'll get better as a team. It's all about confidence at the end of the day when you're newcomer to the league, so it's very good to see them retain that and win. I went for a 1-1 draw, and it finished as a 1-0 Sheffield United win. Next up, I've got Sunderland versus Derby County, the first sort of live broadcasted game of the Championship season, and to be fair, I'll eat my own words here. I sat there and said Sunderland will, crumble, they'll just play awful, and I wasn't really basically a Sunderland fan at that point, but I'll take my hat off to them and say they were fantastic in my opinion. I mean, Honeyman is a brilliant player you've got there. I think Aidan McGeady showed that he was way too good for this league. He was really controlling the park. Don't get me wrong, they could have easily lost this game. There was 1 or 2 chances. I mean, I'm thinking the second half, David Nugent with about 10 seconds left, and Chris Martin, who I really would have put my house on for him to score that. But then Sunderland also had chances as well, like Lee Catamol. I mean, the save from Scott Carson was very good. They could have easily won it. To be fair, both teams would have won it, and that is why it is actually a fair game, to be honest. I mean, I do believe a 3-1 Derby win, and even though it could have happened, it could have also been a 3-1 Sunderland win. But they didn't turn over, roll over, crumble. They got back into the game. It was a penalty. Say what you like, I think it was a little bit, but I've only seen the replays once or twice. But regardless of that, at the end of the day, there was a draw, and they probably should have won. But I do think if they go into their next few games like this, who knows what could happen. They might actually surprise a few people this year. Certainly did surprise me. In this game, I went for a 3-1 Derby win, and it indeed finished as 1-1. Okay, so next up, I've got Nottingham Forest and Millwall. Now, once again, this was another game where I didn't necessarily slate Millwall. I just said that they didn't really have enough to them. But tell you this now, they were so unlucky. Nottingham Forest, I think even your fans will agree, you did not deserve to win this game. I mean, Mackay scored an absolute scream, an absolute belter, and that is really what they needed. That was the only way, in my opinion, they were going to win this game, was if they scored a belter. I mean, the chance where Millwall hit the bar and it was bouncing around, the amount of scrambles they had, the amount of times they could have scored and they didn't, and that really did bite them, because they were fantastic. For me, in my opinion, going away to Nottingham Forest on the first day is really not that nice at all. It's a very hard place to go, hard place to get points, and they proved a lot of people wrong. They really did show up, give a fight, and they played very well, in my opinion. I do think on the cusp of the game, you'll see by the stats and everything that they really were the deserved team of the points, but they didn't, and that is a very good sign for Forest, and it's something they did not do enough last year. They won games when they didn't play that well or didn't deserve to, and if they can do that, they will easily stay up, and they could even make a push for that top 10, or who knows, but they are definitely improving under Warburton, and you can tell that kind of transition period has really helped, because if you can beat a team who absolutely dominate you at home and you play pretty awful, then that is a very good sign, in my opinion. So that is why I went for a 2-0 Forest win, and it finished as a 1-0 Forest win. Next up, I've got my team, Norwich City, and their game away to Fulham. Now, obviously, straight off the bat, I'm going to say I was very pleased with my team's performance. And to be fair, I really do think that, from an unbiased point of view, I do think we deserve to win the game. Now, don't get me wrong, Fulham could have easily and probably should have saw out that game. But, I mean, if you looked at the highlights of the key chances, I mean, Marley Watkins had about 3 golden opportunities, and I mean, Yannick Wolskert, someone who didn't really get too much of a look in last year, he looked incredible yesterday going down the wing. I think the kind of 5-3-2/3-5-2 when we're going forward formation, it worked out so well with Wolskert and Husband down the wings. I think Reed in the middle. Sorry, Harrison Reed looked phenomenal, and I do think that overall we did play well and probably did deserve the win. But on Fulham's point of view, they also did play very well going forward. I do think defensively they did look a bit weak. I mean, they had Burton to say, kind of help them quite a lot. He did save them the odd time, but I do think that Kamara, Cabano, Aite and Aluko all look so deadly. I mean, Cabano, I think it was Cabano, he did hit the post, very good shot. Aite, both him and Aluko had 2 or 3 shots where it really could have gone in. Angus Gunn made 2 or 3 really good saves. So going forward, Fulham did look very good. However, I do think defensively I wouldn't feel too confident as a Fulham fan right now. But let me know what you think down in the description below. If you are a Fulham fan, how do you feel after that game? I'm personally very happy. I went for a 2-2 Fulham Norwich and it finished as a 1-1. Okay, so for this next game, I've got QPR and their win against Reading. Now, once again, I sat here and said that QPR weren't really up to scratch. I didn't really think they had much to them. I really did think that Reading would walk all over them, but they were brilliant. You know, I mean, the first goal, up until that penalty decision where you can say the game was changed or whatever you like, they were very good. They had a few really good chances beforehand. Reading, to me, didn't really offer anything at all. You know, from just seeing it as a fan's perspective, obviously, like I say, for the first 5 games, really, you shouldn't really make too much of a judgment. But I did think that they were very unlike themselves and very poor. Not really like the Reading of last year. Perhaps they're still hurt from the Wembley, loss on pens, but who knows. Anyway, regardless, on to the game. I just think that overall Washington especially, but the team as a whole did very good. They did control the game completely, and the penalty didn't actually really change the game, because obviously it did in the fact that there was a red card and a goal, but nothing really happened after that, to be honest with you. And I just think that if they can keep players in their team who are deadly like Washington fit and score goals and play like that, then who knows. I definitely think they'll finish higher up than what I did originally think, but I didn't actually go for this. I went for a 3-1 Reading win, so I absolutely bottled that. But fair play to QPR, they got a 2-0 win, they deserved it. So yeah, I was wrong on that one, but well done to QPR. Next up, I have Aston Villa versus Hull. Now, to be fair, even though in my opinion Aston Villa should have won the game, I do think that definitely Hull played better than what I expect them to. They did show quite a lot of promise. I do just think there was something lacking. There was that, I mean, don't get me wrong, to grind out a point away at Aston Villa, well played to you. I just think that generally they did look like a good team, but not an amazing side that could, really do much at all this year in terms of the depth. I mean, bringing on players like James Weir, don't get me wrong, he's a good upcoming youngster, but I just think that they're lacking a little bit. But they did do very good in the game. Obviously Bowen did get the goal, which is a bit unlikely of a goal scorer in the 61st minute. But to come back from 1-0 down, a lot of teams away at Aston Villa, they wouldn't do that. And I do think, though, to be fair, Aston Villa did look strong going forward. Defensively, they weren't too bad at all. Obviously, John Terry did start this game. Indeed, I think that John Terry, James Chester partnership will be very key for them next year. I don't think John Terry will play every game, but when he does, they'll be very commanding. Overall, it's a bit of a dull game, and to be fair, a dull weekend. There wasn't really much happening, much goals. It was pretty, low key. But for this one, I do believe I went for a Aston Villa win, and it was 3-1 as well, in fact, I believe. But the game actually did finish as a 1-1 draw. For this next game, I've got Preston versus Sheffield Wednesday. And now, straight off the bat, I'm just going to say, well played to Preston. What a win. I mean, Sheffield Wednesday were very poor in front of goal. I mean, considering the firepower they have up front, and I did talk about this obviously in other videos, but Gary Hooper, Stephen Fletcher, players like that, obviously I'm not going to name all of them, but the list goes on. There's so many good players. I mean, the additions of George Boyd, Barry Bannon in there, I mean, they just did not look up to anything at all. And like I always say, and this is the first game, don't take anything too personally. Just, the new players gelling, first time in the championship for many players, but they just really didn't look up to much. Preston, and Preston did play well, but it's not and not exactly a top 6 say opposition, so they weren't exactly tested to their full ability, you'd have thought, before kick-off, but they were indeed in the game. Obviously the penalty was the deciding factor, and it was quite late on, 79th minute I do believe, so it did really have a big impact on the game in the end. But I just do think that Preston did deserve the game on the whole. I mean, you look at the stats and everything, they did play very, very well, controlled possession, more shots, just in general they really did dominate. So I think definitely a plus point is that it's a very good 3 points for Preston, but very negative for Sheffield Wednesday as a whole, because they really should have done better in this game, really should have made an account of themselves, but they didn't. So for this game it finished as a 1-0 Preston, sorry. Next up we have the Wolverhampton versus Middlesbrough game, and it's a game that I boldly said on here last time that Wolves would win, and indeed I was right. The game finished 1-0, and it was a sloppy mistake from Borough to let in Boutini, and to be fair it was a very good finish on his debut, but it was so unnecessary, and from that point onwards they just didn't look like they were going to get back in the game. And don't get me wrong, Borough will definitely be up there, but I do think Wolves showed how really impressive and great they were without Helder Costa and Ivan Cavallero, who are two very good players to come into the first team. But I mean, Middlesbrough, I think for the first few games in fact, because I did have a few Middlesbrough comments in the down below on the last video saying that perhaps I was wrong, perhaps that they thought they were going to beat Wolves and they had a better team. I do think you've got a better team, however I just think you're going to take time to gel. I think no matter what anyone says, your team comes down with not much confidence at all. If you go 1-0 down, the core players from that team who even played or had any involvement in last season will just generally be down about it until they get out of the system, get a few wins, get more up and confident. You won't be seeing that kind of side. If they go 1-0 up in the game, they will win it more often than not. But if they go 1-0 down, like shown in the game against Wolves, then who knows. But for this game, I did indeed go for a 2-1 win to Wolves, and it did finish 1-0 to Wolves against Middlesbrough in the end. Next up, I've got the game between Ipswich Town and Birmingham, and I'm just going to say this straight off the bat. Obviously, even though, and I say this every video, even though Ipswich are my rival team, I'll be honest about them, and in this game, they were very good, and I do think they defied a lot of opinions. They had an awful pre-season, but very similar to Sunderland. They did turn it around. I mean, they won the game. It was an amazing 3 points from, They even suffered a very horrible injury early on in the game, which did kind of looked as if it was going to change the outcome of the game, but overall it didn't. It was pretty clear that Ipswich did dominate from the off. And I do think that for what was meant to come from this Birmingham team, nothing really come of it. Harry Redknapp was meant to build this team up. They were going to be really good this year, finish quite high, and they really just slumped, really. I mean, it's a tricky one to say about, because obviously, like I always say in every single other prediction, it is the first game of the season, so you don't want to really give off too much and say too many predictions about what could happen in the end of the season. But I do just think that they were shy of a goal scorer. It didn't really look that they had that kind of clear-cut clinical finisher in the team, and I do think that could hurt them this year if they don't, because not gonna lie, with how down in the dumps the Ipswich team did seem, if they can't beat a team like that coming off that kind of pre-season, then who can they beat? I mean, fair play to Ipswich on their behalf. They got a very good win, like I've already said. I actually went for a 2-0 Birmingham win, potentially even a 3, and they really didn't do that at all, and they played pretty bad and they lost 1-0, so fair play to Ipswich. And Birmingham fans, let me know what you think down in the comments, because are you worried at all after that performance? But anyway, it finished 1-0 to Ipswich. Okay, so for the last game, guys, it is Burton Albion versus Cardiff. Now, this really did go the way I did say. Indeed, I did predict a Cardiff win, and it's a tricky one because, Burton, I don't really want to keep referring to my end of season predictions, but they are just so, not this level in the way that their squad and their squad depth. I mean, the Nigel Clough just couldn't bring on anyone who really could benefit the game. He's got his best 11 out there, and he hasn't really got anyone who can come on. So when it isn't working, there's nothing he can do. I mean, Kenneth Zahor, he scored 2 goals. You know, one was offside, but you know, that we don't really talk about them. But he did look very, very good in front of goal. He took his goal well. It was just a late goal as well, but it was a goal that was coming the whole time. I mean, Burton only had 3 shots, none on target, and Cardiff had about 17 with only 6 on target still, but 6 shots out of 17 on target. Obviously it doesn't sound clinical, but still they had 17 shots on goal, which in any game of football is going to help your chances of winning. And as a whole, Cardiff did impress me quite a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't think Burton were much of an opposition. I didn't really think they posed much of a threat, so it was pretty easy sailing for Cardiff. But it's a tricky one with Burton because I do feel like they have the players there to maybe get the win here or there, but I just think they have such a weak squad and they have no depth whatsoever. It is really, really going to hurt them in the future to come. But this game did indeed finish as a 1-0 Cardiff win. Okay guys, so that wraps up this video. This will be the first one of the week, just to roughly update you, because I actually am going away from today till Thursday. On Wednesday you will have another Football Manager Predicts. I'm not going to tell you the league. If you do want to find out the league, go over to my Twitter and drop me a follow. But regardless, on Friday you will get my predictions for the upcoming weekend, and then this will keep rolling over. So Monday you'll get the review, and then Wednesday you'll get another upload, perhaps even a Thursday upload. But anyway, regardless, that is how my uploading schedule's kind of going to work, 3 a week. I hope you are enjoying them, and I hope you do enjoy this video. If you do, leave it a like, comment down in the description below what you can think of the weekend as a whole. Were you surprised? Were you happy with your team's performance? Whatever it is, whatever questions you have for me, drop it down in the comment section below. If you did enjoy, don't forget to subscribe. It's been Britcher FM. I'll see you later.
Love with no doubt, and I'm never gonna slow down. Never gonna slow down.